Good evening. Welcome to the Government News Brief. This evening, the Guyana-Venezuela border issue is likely to be resolved soon. The modernization of the Stabroek, Reading Hoop, and other waterfront facilities is on stream, and the students of the Brickdam Secondary School are comfortable in Isla Penitence. Thanks for staying with us. Minister of Foreign Affairs Carl Greenidge, in an exclusive interview with DPI Gina, said he is optimistic about a resolution to the Guyana-Venezuela border issue. More from Tiffany Rogers, who sat down with Minister Greenidge.
The Organization of American States, OAS, will bring a resolution on the Venezuela crisis when it meets in June for the 47th General Assembly. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Second Vice President Carl Greenidge says the resolution was drafted during the 29th meeting of Ministers of Foreign Affairs of the OAS in Washington, D.C. on May 31.
The resolution addresses issues of what is happening to the Constitution, the implementation of the Constitution in Venezuela. It makes reference to the rule of law, the fate of persons in opposition, the political space provided to people who are non-governmental NGOs and members of civil society.
The draft also makes mention of humanitarian issues, the availability of resources including food security, and the implication of the Constituent Assembly in Venezuela.
I can't tell you its likelihood of passage. There's more than one resolution, and in considering the resolution, one has to acknowledge that there are some countries which are themselves opposed to the very idea that Venezuela should be discussed.
The OAS is a multilateral regional organization of 34 members, which includes the Caribbean, Latin America, Central America, Mexico, Canada, and the United States. The OAS focuses on human rights, electoral oversight, social and economic development, and security in the Western Hemisphere. For the Government News Brief, Tiffany Rogers.
Thank you, Tiffany. The complete rehabilitation and total modernization of several waterfront facilities at Stabroek, Kingston, and Reading Hoop is much closer to becoming a reality. I've been tracking these important infrastructure projects, and here is what is happening. Guyana has obtained the £53.2 million grant from the United Kingdom's Caribbean Infrastructure Fund to improve or create new infrastructure to drive economic growth and development. British High Commissioner to Guyana, Greg Quinn, says the contracts for the technical design and feasibility study to restore and create modern waterfront recreational areas have been awarded.
The feasibility studies and the design studies for each of those projects will now begin. They will probably take about 9 months to complete. So we're looking at a design completion date of early next year, and then the decision will be taken as to what exactly is done on both of those projects as a result of the study.
The Caribbean Development Bank, CDB, will be responsible for overseeing these projects, which will include improved road networks, bridges, stellings, waterfronts, and other infrastructural works.
Those are for the stellings at Stabroek Market and Reading Hoop, and some of the seawall as well, running basically, I guess, from about the Marriott along the seawall road here. That's one project, and the second project is the plan to pave the road between Linden and Mabura Hills and put a bridge over at Currapacari.
A team from the CDB will be in Guyana from December 12 to 15 to formalize the agreement on the two projects. Up next, Sonika Thorne joins us to report that the Brickdam Secondary School students are being comfortably accommodated at the spacious and underutilized Isla Penitence Primary School building.
After falling into despair, the Ministry of Education decided to close the Brickdam Secondary School. The student population was subsequently accommodated at the Easter Penitence Primary School. Chief Education Officer Marcel Hodson was asked about plans for the still closed Brickdam Secondary School.
I think we have to ask ourselves, Paul, as to what is prudent at this point in time. Here it is that we have a building that that could accommodate the entire cohort or the number of children at Brickdam Secondary. And so I don't know if it is prudent to build a school, and then the question is, right, and then what will we do with the building that has been rehabilitated, is in very good condition, spacious and everything. We have to ask ourselves these questions, but I'm sure that it is not a question that Brickdam has been forgotten and nobody's thinking about Brickdam Secondary.
Hudson questions the financial viability of rebuilding the Brickdam Secondary School.
Well, one of the things, my observation with Brickdam Secondary, I think that the school that they're occupying now, that school that used to be East La Penitence Primary School, that school, in terms of the size, it's a massive building, and the Brickdam, the secondary, yeah, they fit nicely into that school.
Meanwhile, major rehabilitation works are ongoing at the St. Roses and Bishop High School. New secondary schools are also to be constructed at Hope and Parfait Harmony. Seneca Thorne for the Government News Brief.
In this next Tiffany Rodius report, she tells us that the recently graduated Hinterland Scholarship students are keen to serve their communities.
The most recent batch of Hinterland Scholarship graduates says the sky is the limit. They want to give back to their communities. 16-year-old Trishelle Stevens is among 78 students who benefited from the scholarship program. She gained her secondary education at the Anna Regina Secondary School and aspires to become a civil engineer.
Where I'm from, Cameron, it's not really developed in terms of the roads and building infrastructure, and so I really want to develop the place, especially where I come from.
President's College 6 former Juane Andes from Region 9 says the goal is to get her business management degree from the University of Guyana.
This is my first time being away from them, and I found it really hard, but it was worth being away from them because I was able to experience a lot of things, meet new people, make new friends, experience different cultures.
18-year-old Shania Wilson is currently pursuing an environmental science degree at the University of Guyana. She intends to give back to her community.
It was really good, and it was definitely worth it because it basically gave me the opportunity to further my studies and get better education compared to in Region 7. On completion of my degree and PhD, I will return to Bartica. As we all know, is currently the green tongue in progress. So going back there and working back as an environmentalist is my way of giving back and my contribution, my way of saying thank you for the support through the years while I was there and while I was away.
Delivering the feature address at the graduation, Minister within the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, Valerie Garrido-Lowe, encouraged the young people to use the graduation as a starting point to help develop their communities. For the Government News Brief, Tiffany Rodius.
And we close this evening by telling you that the feasibility study for the Linden-Soesdijk Highway rehabilitation has been put on hold. I interviewed Public Infrastructure Permanent Secretary Jeffrey Vaughan, who explained why this is necessary. The Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, is currently revising the scope of works on the Sheriff Street Mandela Avenue Road project, lots 6 and 7. It was under the loan for this project that monies were allocated for the feasibility study for the Linden-Soesdijk Highway rehabilitation. Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Public Infrastructure Jeffrey Vaughan says due to this setback, the study has also been stopped.
It was basically a project that would have been falling under the IDB loan of 2741, but there were some rescoping of 2741 with the Ministry of Finance, the Government of Guyana and the IDB. So that is being rescoped right now as we speak. Once the rescoping is completed, then we'll be able to determine where the feasibility study will be done for the Linden-Soesdijk Road.
In his 2016 budget speech, Minister of Finance Winston Jordan disclosed that the feasibility study for the rehabilitation of the 47-year-old Linden-Soesdijk Highway will be undertaken. Meanwhile, the first phase of the long-awaited Linden to Lethem Road project is expected to commence shortly.
Shortly, the CDB, along with the Government of Guyana, would be advertising to have consultant to do a review of the existing studies. When that is completed, then we'll go out for tender for works.
Government has budgeted $14.1 billion in 2017 for the continued development and maintenance of roads and bridges, of which $2.3 billion has been earmarked for capital projects in the hinterland. Thanks for watching. Visit gina.gov.gy for more news and information 24/7. We're also on Facebook and YouTube, and the links are on the screen. Goodbye.